I once did a conga between Rhys Ifans and Kate Moss. True story.
I think a good goal really is anything that is going to leave you feeling positive afterwards.
Anything that you desire to be different in the future.
The basis of goal setting is applicable to anything, whether it's in my field, so, trying to be fitter, stronger, what have you, or in life, where you want to get to with your job, perhaps with your partner.
Career development, anything from running a marathon to, getting through the day could be a goal for some people. If you're suffering from, certain challenges that life's throwing at you, getting through the day and being happy at the end of the day could be something that feels a challenge and is a goal for somebody. If you don't have goals, you're never going to move anywhere. You're always going to be stuck in the same position. So goals is always about having something in the future to focus on.
Let's say, for example, you have an idea of trying to be more active. Well, if we want to achieve that, we kind of need to break it down a little bit more. We want to understand what that means to you. Being active is quite a vague topic, but how do we measure that? How does a normal person measure that? So it could be something as simple as just making sure you increase your daily steps. It could be getting stronger. It could be losing a little bit of excess body fat. And outlining the goals is just a way for us to kind of make it clear and give us a target in the distance that we know we want to aim for. There are two really useful ways of setting goals. We tend to look at two models. We've got the GROW model and the SMART model.
So GROW is goal, reality, options, and way forwards.
The SMART model, again, is an acronym, and it stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time. So the GROW model will help us build the deep connection with the goal. And then after that, we can move into the SMART model, which is more of like a way of quantifying the goal. So, how are we going to get it? What steps are we going to take? How are we going to measure it so that we know that we're on the right track?
GROW, the GROW model.
The GROW model is an acronym, and it stands for goals,
reality, options,
and way forward.
So you start with a goal because that's where you want to be. It's that point in the future.
So if, for example, you want to get yourself to a healthier weight, well, what does that look like to you? Does it mean perhaps putting on a little bit of extra muscle mass? Does it mean losing a bit of excess weight or excess fat? And then after that, it's really important to understand the why behind it. So we would ask open questions like, how will it feel like to you once you've achieved that goal? Why does this goal matter to you?
Then you start to explore the reality of what's happening at the moment. So you would be starting to critique what you're eating, what you're drinking, how much activity you're doing, because it's the intake from food and drink and then the expenditure, usually through activity, which will elicit whatever change that you want to happen to get you to that healthy weight.
Once we've identified your current reality, then we want to have a look at your options. Now, from that point, we should have a good idea of a list of options that are available to us that are going to push us towards that goal of getting to our healthy weight. Now, this could be making sure that we book onto classes. It could be making sure that we get out and increase our daily activity. It could be going to see one of our resident PTs if we need that little bit of extra help. Whatever it is, it's important that you make these decisions for yourself, so you take ownership and you're empowered to take charge of the options from this point.
Then from your options, you'd start to then explore, okay, what can I do differently? Is there a way I can integrate more activity in my day? Does it need to be formal exercise? Could it just be I increase my steps, I do more walking, I stand at my desk rather than I sit at my desk? So it's starting to look at all of those different ways of either increasing activity or decreasing energy expenditure or vice versa, depending on whether you want your weight to go up or down.
Once we've built a clear connection to this goal, we know which direction we want to head. Now it's about being able to measure it or quantify it.
If we look at the acronym itself, it's specific, it's measurable,
achievable, relevant,
and it's time framed.
The first step of the SMART model is to identify a specific goal. Okay, so I want to run a marathon. How am I going to get to that point? I've built a connection with it. How exactly am I going to get there? So the first point is to be specific. Now, it is pretty specific, the goal. We're trying to run a marathon, okay? How are we going to measure this? So what data can we collect to know that we're on the right track to be able to complete this marathon? Now, it could be logging the amount of miles that you clock in every week and just slowly increasing it so that we know that we're building up our tolerance or our endurance to be able to run long distances. After that, we move on to achievable. This is where we have to be a little bit honest with ourselves and we go, right, in the time frame that we've given, is this goal achievable? The reason we ask this is just because if we set a goal that is unrealistic, it can be quite demoralizing. So we want to make sure that although it's challenging, it is something that we should be able to achieve. After that, we have a look at relevance. Relevance is, or the relevance of the goal is more tied into the GROW model. Now, some people won't use the GROW model, they'll go straight into SMART. Now, if you have done that, then we'll be asking the same types of questions. Well, why is this important to you? Do you have a connection to this? And then the final one is time. So how long have you given yourself to do this? Now, if it's a goal like increasing your steps, that could be immediate. So we want to do it from today. We want to make sure that we're being active and we're hitting X number of steps from today. However, if it's a goal like running a marathon, it could be like, right, well, the marathon's in 3 or 4 months' time. So that is the time frame that I've got to be able to train and head towards being able to run the marathon.